Now, if history is our guide, we already know what the reaction would be from Fauci and friends. They'll just continue to push divisive and immoral vaccine mandates. But a brave group of independent-minded physicians and scientists are standing up to the COVID mob. Tomorrow, they're going to gather in Ocala, Florida, to affirm their support for a declaration opposing COVID-19 mandates that has been signed now by nearly 13,000 experts, standing against all that. Now, joining me now are two of the most prominent doctors who signed that declaration, Dr. Harvey Risch, epidemiologist at the Yale School of Medicine, and Dr. Robert Malone, immunologist and architect of the mRNA vaccines. Also with us is Dr. Bhattacharya, Stanford School of Medicine professor. Now, Dr. Malone, tell us very clearly and succinctly why you signed this declaration and why was it an important moment for you to declare now?
Physicians are being hunted by a press and by the medical boards as an attempt to shut down their right to practice medicine as they see fit in working with their patients. This has got to stop.
Now, you're one of the architects of the mRNA vaccine. Without you, who knows where we would have ended up on this, this technology, this new experimental drug. So the government says we just want to save lives. This is all about saving lives. Dr. Malone.
If that's the case, then they would have done the risk-benefit analysis stratified by age back when I had conversations with Nancy Pelosi's office about this. The words are not consistent with the actions. We can use the words like lying or dissembling or misrepresentation, but their actions speak volumes.
Well, that begs the question of what their motivation really is. And Dr. Fauci was on cable news earlier this week, taking this all a step further and pushing vaccines for 5 to 11-year-olds. Watch.
It's important for the children. We have 28 million children from 5 to 11 years old who will benefit personally from a health standpoint. The safety profile is really quite good. Our FDA, particularly when it comes to children, are very, very scrupulous in figuring out whether or not we have a benefit-risk ratio that's favorable.
Oh, Dr. Risch, he's contradicting what Dr. Malone just said about the benefit-risk analysis. So where is Fauci getting this wrong?
He's believing the CDC, what the CDC says. The CDC is in total denial over the amount of adverse events that have occurred from these vaccines. They played it down. They use the VAERS, which underreports. We have an inkling of this because when Pfizer presented to the FDA about the 5 to 11s data from their randomized trial, there was a slide that showed the Optum database information on myocarditis, which was 4 times what the VAERS showed, and the study on athletes also showed that asymptomatic myocarditis is 4 times the number of actually diagnosed myocarditis. So we're talking about 16-fold larger numbers of myocarditis in young people, and this is just totally being repressed or distorted by the CDC and the FDA.
Now, Dr. Bhattacharya, I want to play a really emotional moment from a Texas father on this issue of vaccine side effects.
I was a father of a 16-year-old son, a single parent. I raised my boy since he was a baby. He meant the world to me. They need to quit pushing this on their children. I lost mine. Y'all need to protect yours. And they say, it's worth the risk. It wasn't worth the risk.
Obviously very difficult to listen to. He lost his son after his son received the vaccine. Why are stories like these not really being told?
I mean, I think the fact is the risk that children face from COVID is so small that almost any risk from the vaccine itself might cut against recommending the vaccine. I think it should be something that's left up to parents and the pediatricians that they have. Like, you might have a child with special needs that have some additional risk from COVID. It's really a risk benefit that's best done at the individual level. Not telling people telling people that the vaccine is entirely safe is actually really harmful to public health. It's not entirely safe. I mean, I think it's largely safe, but it's not entirely safe. And you have stories like this that just pull at your heartstrings. No medicine is perfectly safe. You have to tell people honestly what the risks are and then let them make choices. These mandates are absolutely insane. They're destroying the trust in public health. And we'll get many more stories like this. I'm worried that other vaccines that are actually useful and important for children, people will stop trusting.
That's a terrifying prospect, but I think that's really well said. I'm afraid of that as well. And Dr. Malone, there was an exchange on Capitol Hill this week between the CDC director, Walensky, and Senator Richard Burr, which I think is quite illuminating about what this administration, what the CDC itself thinks about natural immunity. Watch.
What does the science say about the durability of natural immunity, and when can we expect answers on its benefit?
CDC continues to recommend that people who have been previously infected get their COVID-19 vaccine. The data on the infection-induced immunity, some of which you quoted, are murkier. They rely on retrospective studies, observational studies. Our guidance continues to recommend that children who've been previously infected actually get vaccine.
Dr. Malone, your response to her.
So the CDC study that was half-baked, which recently came out in an attempt to address this, is the only one out of over 100 that I'm aware of that indicates that natural immunity is not better than vaccination. In fact, the vaccination on top of previous infection and natural immunity actually confers higher risk to patients than vaccination in the naive individual. I myself am an example of that. After 2 jabs of Moderna, and I had COVID in February of 2020, I developed hypertension with systolic up to 230, restless leg syndrome, narcolepsy, etc. These are known risks. And regarding Dr. Fauci's comment, there's no other word for it. That duplicitous is the nicest thing I can say.
Doctors, thank you very much.